bright sun woke Dorothy slowly. She could feel the light working its way beneath her eyelids before she even fully realized she was awake. She heard Toto woof softly beside and sat bolt upright. "Toto, baby, are you okay?" He was, standing and stretching his rear legs the way he always did. The sun hurt Dorothy's eyes, but its brilliant warmth made the pain nearly pleasant, and she turned her face up toward it. Another quiet woof from Toto, following by him headbutting her leg, forced Dorothy to open her eyes and take in her surroundings. "Sweet Jesus," she said as she began to comprehend her situation. Very clearly, Dorothy was no longer in Kansas. The bright orange sun shone down on a lush landscape nearly tropical in nature. She stood on the side of the only visible constructed element in sight, a road of sorts, built of cobbled, uneven stones, the shade of daisies faded by years of sunlight. Beyond the road, using the term loosely, which wound vaguely in the direction of the rising sun, the landscape was completely wild, overgrown to the point of chaos. Rich green trees crowned the yellow stone road. Beyond that, nothing. No movement, more importantly, no sound. It was absolutely, blissfully silent. The last thing Dorothy remembered was standing naked but for her glorious corset before... naked. She looked down at herself and was immediately relieved to see she was again, though mysteriously, fully clothed. Sensing a comforting constriction around her midsection, Dorothy touched her stomach and gasped. The leather corset was still attached, though hidden beneath her sweater. Trapped in a strange new world, unsure of where to go, what to do, the corset exerted its power, calming Dorothy. As she looked around, her breath regulating itself and her heartbeat slowing, Dorothy made a decision. Never before on her own, she immediately knew that she was in a precious position, and her life, as well as Toto's, was in her own hands. "Toto, come on, boy," she called out and began walking the uneven yellowish stones toward the rising sun. Was it east in this unknown world? She felt so, and the beautiful trees all seemed to bend slightly in that direction. 4 hours later, after the sun had passed its zenith in the bluest sky Dorothy had ever seen, both she and Toto were tired, hungry, and out of sorts. She decided it was time to take a break and sat down to rest in the cool shade beneath a massive tree that appeared to be a cross between an oak and some sort of pine. Toto curled up next to her on the rich soil, and before she knew, both fell into a deep slumber. Dorothy awoke sometime later, how long she didn't know, to sounds. The first sounds other than her own steps and Toto's excited breath she'd heard since arriving in this strange land of blue skies, orange sun, as setting in what she presumed to be the western sky. She was suddenly frightened. As Toto jumped up from his resting place prepared to let loose a volley of shrill barking, she grabbed him. "Toto," she half whispered, "please be still." He followed her command, but his muscles were stiff with fear beneath her trembling hand. As soon as she spoke, the noises, coming from the direction of the road she'd been traveling, stopped. And then a voice from the growling dusk. "Hello, is anyone there?" came a voice in what Dorothy recognized as a clipped British accent. A fierce growl ripped from Toto's throat, and she froze in a sudden premonition of coming fear. But it was too late. The three shapes, one skinny, one medium-sized, and one large, moved forward far enough for Dorothy and Toto to see them more clearly. Dorothy gasped and Toto growled again at what stood before them. It was like something from a fairy tale. A massive lion cowered toward the rear, his yellowish eyes turned toward the ground. A pile of scrap metal that vaguely resembled a medieval suit of armor with friendly blue eyes, and a pile of straw and sticks that gazed at her curiously with its small cocked sideways. Dorothy looked at the strange trio and rubbed her corset. She waited to see their intentions. They moved closer, the scrap pile coming closest, and attempting to kneel slowly, his rusty joints fighting against him in a squeal of tortured metal. He looked at her kindly and spoke in soothing British tones. "My name is Nicky Chops, my dear, and these are my friends Lion and Scarecrow. Some folks call me the Tin Woodman, and that's fine too. Who might you be?" My name is Dorothy Windtower, and this is my dog Toto," she replied. "Where are we?" The Tin Woodman looked at her oddly, though his metallic face didn't seem capable of displaying emotion or expression. "Why, my dear, you're in the land of Oz. Didn't you know?" "No," Dorothy said, tears beginning to streak her beautiful face. "Toto and I are lost. I don't know how we got here. We're from Kansas." "Kansas?" he repeated to himself. "No, I'm not familiar with that province, but I'm sure it's just as lovely as you are." He paused. "Wait a second and let me confer with my comrades." The three huddled together, whispering while Dorothy waited and Toto tensed in a silent stare. The Tin Woodman returned slowly and looked down at her, not daring to bend as before. "My dear, my friends and I are on a quest, each of us for our own reasons. We are headed east down the road toward the Emerald City to meet the great wizard there. It is said that the wizard can perform miracles, and we hope to gain his audience. We'd be delighted if you'd join us. Emerald City is a bit of a walk still, but perhaps the wizard can also help you solve your problem." Dorothy sat with her back against the strange tree and tried to think. But too much had transpired. She was away from home, lost in a strange land, hungry, tired. Her very foundation had been shaken. The only things keeping her sane were Toto and the subtle heat from the corset. She knew she needed help, and the three travelers seemed friendly. "Okay," she said. "I'll join your quest, thank you. Perhaps the wizard will be able to help me get home." "I certainly hope so, my dear," the Tin Woodman said with a near smile, and with that, they were off, down the cobbled yellow road toward destiny. If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.
Come play with